Hello, it says I'm live, like for all of 8-9 seconds, so I'm waiting for people to show up. I've been away. I actually haven't been away. I've been sitting exactly where you see me right now for the last little bit. But I'm waiting for people to show up. And if they don't, I'll just start the show and talk about what I talk about, and then everybody else can go catch up later. Ah, Tammy's here. Very good. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Anna. Hi, Susie. Hi, Judy D. Hi, Ronnie. Ronnie. I guess it's Ronnie because it's from Veronica. She wrote me when I was off saying, "Did you go away? What happened?" Oh, light Libra lady, I'll throw a stone for your birthday. We'll roll one stone for your coming year. Let me write that down because I forget things. Okay. Where have I been? I have been off teaching classes. I taught 5 classes a week. Different times during the day, and I did some readings. I did some happy birthday Libra lady. Yes, everybody wish her a happy birthday. I fixed some grids, did some stuff. I've taped a show that you will see next week, which is a lady who got a grid, and then I saw her, and so what we did is I take notes when I do grids. So we recreated her reading so you can see what it's like to get a grid made. And then I actually did the rough, what I call the rough draft, the pie plate version of it for her. And so that's what we're going to start with today. Let's start with Libra Lady's birthday because that seems perfectly appropriate. So, since it's your birthday, we're going to throw the grounding the prosperity stone. And let's see, what's the vibration for Libra ladies this birthday coming up? Whoa! Path forward. What fun. That's a great place to have pyrite land. And it says on the path forward, more abundance is going to be created. That's a good news stone for your birthday. So, yay! On the 22nd, it's a bit away. I'll throw one more birthday stone for Tammy. Let's see. I'm going to throw the spirit stone for Tammy, just because that's the one that was tumbled into that hand. Ooh, you're going to have some rethinking to do this next year, girl. You've got some really good enlightening ideas, but you're getting in your own way, and that's going to happen. You need to really go in and restate because there are really clear paths ahead of you. If you weed out the things, you're going to be doing a lot of weeding in your life right now. That's your next year. 1022 is 5, 5, and 4. Oh, I can tell you exactly why you're doing that. You're going into a 9-year, Tammy. You know how to do your birthday? Does everyone know how to figure out your personal year? The way you figure it out is you take the digits of your birthday. So in her case, she's 1022. So that you add the 1 and the 0, which is 1, and the 2 and the 2, which is 4. So that adds up to 5, and then you add up this year, which is another 5. So you're going into a 1 year. You must have felt like you've been cleaning up a lot of stuff, Tammy, because you're just coming out of a 9 year. If you want to know more about personal years, I'll do a show on it, but you can go see some good numerologists. The one I like is Ann Prairie. Let's see, in year 4 plus. I'll do the personal year for Libra Lady too. 10, 4, 6, 8, 9. Oh, Libra lady, yeah, you're going to have a lot of changes in abundance. You're going into a 9 year, and a 9 year is when all the stuff you've built up, what you've worked on for the last 9 years, you sift through it all, and you decide, what am I taking into my 1 year? 1 years and 9 years are extremely important years, and if you don't know about numerology, it's a great time to go look at those and figure it out. I have a story about a 9-year for Libra lady. I had a guy I worked with, he was one of the servers and one of the sommeliers at times 10, and he always had a long ponytail, and he was just incredibly gorgeous. He really was. But and all the women just went across the room after him. He's a real sweetie though, and he came up to me and he goes, "Nancy, can you see if something's wrong about me?" And I said, "Why? Why would I think something's wrong with you? You look perfectly fine." And he said, "Look what I did." And he turned around and he cut his hair off. His ponytail was gone. And I said, "Oh, well, you liked your ponytail." And he said, "Yeah, I did, but all of a sudden I felt compelled to cut it off." And I said, "Oh, well, what else is going on?" And it ended up, he had like 3 different jobs. He worked for his dad, he worked for the wine. He just wouldn't settle on one thing. He just flitted from thing to thing. And he said, "I've agreed to come on and study under the barrelers because they actually make one of the wines, the Pinot Noir, they actually make at the location I was at. That's what you have to be in order to be a winery in Texas." And he said, "I've agreed to come in and really work with them and learn how to do that." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "And I also told my dad I'd seriously take it over and I'm going to really start training to help him run his properties," which was, his dad owns an extensive amount of properties in Dallas, home rental properties. And I said, "Well, that's a good move. That's a solid move." And I said, "What else is going on?" And he said, "I met someone." Now, that's a game changer because he was never meeting anybody. He was always to the next, person. And I said, "Well, tell me about her." And he said, "Oh, she's gorgeous and she's this and she's that." And she was into a lot of things he was into. And I said, "Well, she sounds perfect. What's the problem?" And he said, "She has a kid." And he said, "I'd always swore to everyone I knew I'd never date anyone who had children because I didn't want to get in that whole children thing, that whole deal." Now, mind you, guys, this was in 2019. So I looked at him and I said, "Do you like this lady?" And he said, "I think I love this lady, but she doesn't fit with whatever I wanted." And I said, "You got anything else going on?" And he said, "Well, I've been planning my birthday party." And I said, "What's your birthday?" And he was moving from his 9-year into his 1 year in 2 weeks. So he had done in 1 month all the stuff he was supposed to be doing the last 9 years to wrap it up, picking the job with the winery, doing the job with his dad, meeting the perfect woman, even though she had a kid, all that stuff. And he was just doing it. And he said, "I feel like I'm crazy." And I said, "You're not crazy. You're just shifting." And so we talked to him. I talked to him about it. And he said, "Well, we'll see what happens." Well, this was 2019. Since then, he completely rebuilt one floor of his father's apartments to make a home for him and his wife and his little girl. They're having a baby in November. So 1 to 9, 9 to 1, 9 moves to 1 is important. If you're in a 1 year, it's important. Look at the things you pick and choose because they're going to be with you for the next 9 years. So that's my birthday message for the October birthday ladies that showed up. And I hope that gives them some clarity, which today, my stone of the day, I always pick, was tanzanite. And it means clarity. And it's a beautiful stone. And its meanings are, and when we go through the rest of the show, you'll understand. When I pulled this card, I went, "Oh, really? This is perfect." Opens your spiritual wisdom to sharing your knowledge from your heart. Opens and activates the third eye chakra, enhancing clarity, vision, and imagination. Assists in communicating the higher aspects of self, creating a deep knowing and wisdom, and allows you to see things with great clarity. And when this stone shows up, you've been called to this powerful stone into your presence to share with you the essence of clarity that is now upon you. When you attain clarity, you see things exactly how they are, no confusion, no delusion. Clarity can bring on many blessings, allow you to see deeply in situations and experience and to receive direction, wisdom, and knowledge. So, and after I wrote up what I've got on my list for today, I kind of went, well, that makes sense. I'm going to go to your questions at the end. Not at the beginning, because sometimes people show up late and they say, I missed the answer and I had to go back and watch. I'll dash down some messages I'm seeing come through in the chat and see if I can catch them up at the end too. Hello, Spirit. What I want to talk to you about is kind of where I've been for the last 3 weeks, which has been a fascinating journey. I taught 3 classes. I taught 3 weeks of classes, 5 classes a week. The classes were booked for an hour, and they all went to an hour and a half to 2 hours. I taped most of them. Sometimes I forgot to push record. Sorry about that. But what I'm going to do is, for people who buy the garden, they're going to have the opportunity to be able to see these classes, to see how to use the garden. In addition to the other regular materials I gave them, I also created a PDF that looks like this and what it is, and I will have this in a downloadable form somewhere on the internet. Tech support and I have to get together on this, but this is an Oracle workbook, Oracle Garden workbook, and what you do is you go through each of the sections of the garden. For those who get sick, don't watch now. Okay, what you do is you take a stone. This is the first lesson, and say it's air. You push pyrite in air, and then you immediately write down, or after you look on it, how did you feel? What's going on around you? And what I do then is you do it with each one of the stones, and by the time you're finished, you'll have taken all of the 5 stones through all of the spots on the garden, and you'll have your own personal record. And it was, if you buy the garden and you get to see the classes, it's fascinating because so many different people had so many different reactions. My empaths really my empaths really felt it in their bodies. They would feel, 3 of them all felt the stone sink to their root chakra, even though that wasn't where it was tossed. But it's there, and it's really fascinating to watch how it all works out. And some familiar faces show up in those classes. Some other readers, who wanted to come and participate in it for a while. And they were a lot of fun. And one of the things we've discussed with the class is to create Sorcerer's Apprentice. In other words, I'll set up a workshop day where I will open up a Zoom link and people can volunteer to be in the Zoom link to be read, and then my happy little gardeners will be broken off into breakout rooms with you to give you a chance, for them to get a chance to practice. They really want to practice. They want to be able to see how all this whirls. And one of the things that I did while I was also off was work on other topics, organizing my shows, which I haven't done yet, but I'm going to organize all my shows because some people who found me because I was on with other readers have started to say, it's really a pain to go through all those shows and find the things I want. So I'm going to go through and organize out the shows so that I can organize them by topics, because I realize I don't talk about one thing. As was one of my students was kindly pointed out to me, this class wanders all over the place. So I'm going to be doing that. If you haven't seen it, Danny, Shay, and I did a thing in the last week on the seasons. And in the seasons, he and I, we did fall. We emphasized fall, but we're going to do winter, spring, and summer. We're going to do a deep dive. And he and I was reading in the garden, he was reading with his cards. And it was really fascinating. It's fascinating for me, fascinating for him, and from people I know who have told me they thought it was an interesting way to deal with that too. Danny will be back. He and I have more topics to discuss. The other thing I spent a lot of time working on is writing out my personal journey about weight loss. For those of you who don't know it, and you will see it if you come to my weight loss sessions, I've lost over 100 pounds. And when you see my pictures from a year and a half ago, You can see all 100 of them right in my little face. And I'm going to talk about what it took for me to walk away from 30 years of morbid obesity. And a lot of it had to do, and I dyed my hair purple before I lost weight. I did a lot of other things that kind of built up to it. Hi, Marie. You're not that late. I'm just talking about stuff you probably already heard before. Anyway, I'm going to be putting together a series of shows on weight loss. And the reason I'm doing it is I thought about doing it a long time ago. Then my mind wandered, and I got the garden, and I got a lot of other things going. But one of the reasons I've been doing it is I actually have other readers who tell me they have so many clients who have weight problems, and the readers don't. And they've never been challenged by it, especially the two who've talked to me a bit about it. And they said, please, if you could serve the community in one way, just talk to them about how to hack your body. And my perspective is you have to hack your spirit first. You have to get right inside, and then the weight can fall off. I keep saying it wasn't until I cleared up my heart chakra that fat could disappear. And once I did, and once I got in the diet regimen I got into, the fat just melted away. Then I started my YouTube channel, which raised my cortisol levels, which will all become clear if you take the weight loss, if you follow the weight loss thing. And that puts a certain amount of stress on me. But I don't gain weight. I just kind of stay where I was. When I got to 199.9, and I have a video on that, I am now at 203 today. But I kind of bounce up to 205, come back to 200. I have not hit 199.9. When I do, it'll be on my page, that picture again. But it's right now my body's kind of resting, and I'm starting on a new regimen to actually increase the amount of calories I eat, because I eat so little that my body thinks it's starving, so it holds on to everything. But that's a whole nother thing. But that's the thing for weight loss. So I'm thinking about doing that curriculum. And I also, tomorrow, at this time on this channel, we will have John of New, which is John Davis, who is the reincarnation of John the Beloved. I think it was James the Beloved. I don't know, but it was the beloved of the apostles. And I find his stories fascinating. I find his perspective fascinating. For those of you who don't write down every note of my life story, I can't imagine why you don't. But my first husband was a theologue. I hung around theologues. I hung around an highly organized American church for 10 years. Then I left, became a Unitarian, which is a philosophic social club. Then I went back to what I had been raised in by my mother. I became an Episcopalian. So I actually am not totally unchurched, but his stories are fascinating. And when he talks about the emergence of spirit, the way it emerges with him, it's really important for us to listen to, because he's talking about the kind of spirit I always thought should be part of what we see. Okay. Next week, I will be doing a show with Medium Kim beside my show that I've already taped with the person where we show how we build a grid. I'm going to do a show with Medium Kim, and right now what we're looking at is I was willing to discuss the origins of Halloween from the perspective of where I know my background comes from, Celtic, Irish, that group, that understanding. She has Spanish and Italian, and they're all basically harvest festivals of some sort with different flares. And we're going to talk about the weakening of the veil, which happens in the fall. But this year, I'm going to warn you guys, that veil's coming down fast. We're moving so quickly. Which brings me to another topic that you can find more information about it below. I'm going to do a little more study on it. I actually wasn't intending to do this show today. And then at 11 o'clock last night, my guide said, put a show up. Tell them you're going to be here at 1. And I was like, okay. So, and I was going to read your questions and kind of drift around through what I've already drifted through. But then I woke up this morning to a 12-minute show that I think you can watch and it will change your life. It's about how to use dowsing to gauge your frequencies, and it's done by Pam Gregory. I put the link below, and I also put the link below to a man that she directed me to, and I'm going to do a show on this. I'm just not proficient enough yet, but this is what you can download. It's called a Dowsing Chart, and it's a way to use a pendulum to figure out your frequencies. And one of the things she did that I did this morning, sort of following Pam's plan, is I said, where was my frequency a year ago? And it was down about 200, 210. Where's my frequency now? It's at 270. Our frequencies are changing, and this is, okay, Jane, go take care of your mom. Blessings to you and your mother. It had a thing about the changing of frequencies, and she's been talking about how she could douse herself and check the changes of frequencies, and I'd hear her talk about it. I didn't know how she did it. She did a little 12-minute thing. She uses this chart. It's available as a free download on a PDF from a guy named Raymond Grace, and it's Raymond without the D. It's Raymond without the D, Grace. You can go to his website. I looked at some of his newsletters. I've signed up for him. Incredible energy information. He's here in the States. He's in a place called, he's in a place in Virginia. He has a foundation, and I'm going to follow him because what I read, oh yeah, you can always learn more, girl. If I can learn more, you can learn more. Somebody's already told me she can't learn more. Yeah, you can. And this will go along perfectly with what we're talking about in the garden. As a matter of fact, I put it in the middle of the garden to read it today. And what it's got an axis. It's yes and no. And she explains sort of the niceties of asking your pendulum if it wants to be read. You can read yourself. It's a very 4 and 5D tool. You can't read other people without their permission. You just can't say, is thus and so a bad person. You have to kind of do that. You have to follow their regimens, and they're all the ethics and the guidelines they had in there make total sense to me. So yeah, old painter, you're going to learn something else. And I have Medium Kim. I have some other readers coming. I've been contacted by a reader whose initials are LG. I think you can figure out who that is. She wants to come on my show. She wants to be here with y'all on a afternoon, sometimes toward the end of the month. So I'm going to be on a phone call today to work that out. Yep, Rachel B. Okay, here's a 9-year story. Sold her house, ended a 12-year relationship, bought a boat and an RV, and have begun to travel. Heading into 1 year, and she's already planning on how she's going to work that out. That's a 9-year. Rachel B., you are in a 9-year, and you've navigated it successfully. Great for you. Like I said, I'm going to do some more on the whole numerology thing. Numerology, I actually did do numerology when I did tarot and numerology all combined. That's why I said I have to go back and organize my videos so that you can kind of go find a subject. I had someone who wrote me and said, I can't find all the 9 candles. So yeah, get it. You don't have to buy a pendulum. You could use a necklace. You could use anything that can dangle. If you want a pendulum and you want it to be, that's all you use it for, you can use it for that. I have 2 pendulums. I have one that was made by a fabricator, and she took a lot of little, it's actually every color of the chakras in this little ball that she stuck together. And I've had that for 40 years, I guess. Not quite 40 years, and it works. And then I have another one that's a Merkaba, which is very powerful. It's a clear crystal one. It was a gift. Yes, it's really easy to download that dowsing chart, and also he's got real good instructions there. And what I'd like to do is have a lot of you download that kind of chart or try it, and so the day that I do the class in it, we can get some active feedback. It's not just me having to say bleh from my brain. Yes, Marie, if it was Pam Gregory, yes, she did a thing. Pam Gregory's one powerful lady, and she's been an astrologer. She's walking away from astrology. She's not using it, but she's going into all the other understandings of spiritual things that don't require quite doesn't take quite the amount of remembering all that material. And yes, I am actually gonna do a 9 candle ceremony when the veil's thinning at the end of October. So at the beginning of each one of my classes, and that means I'll be on 9 days in a row, which is also another fun thing I do to myself. But we'll be in 9 days in a row. So if you have friends you think would like to be part of that, make sure that they subscribe and or share my things with them so that we know. You'll have lots of notice that we're going into it, because a lot of people followed along and did their own 9 candles. And Pam Gregory reminds me of one of my great aunts, my great aunt Della, and she was the sweetest woman in the world. Yeah, I'll talk about sinking into things. I kind of just do it because I've done it so long. I'm going to have to tear that apart point by point by point to get there. Anyway, for today's class, what I read was spirit and mind both fell in restate, which means it's time to rethink those things, look at them, and kind of weed out and decide which direction I'm going in. My body is changing. Yes. As long as it's not up. Not up. Yes, to down. Clarity. It landed exactly in the middle of earth, wind, air, and fire. And what that means is that all of my ability to make choices and choose paths and where I'm going, all of it clears up. All the past goes away. The new stuff comes in. It all moves forward clearly. I have rolled that so often in this garden. I learned that one by heart. And Pyrite says that I have not yet recognized my full, where I'm supposed to really go. And I've been told that by several readers, that right now I've got one more thing I have to do. I have the eggs, which are moving along slowly in Wisconsin. I have the garden, and I have my own, and the grids. So there's 3, but I've been told there's a 4th thing that I'm supposed to bring forward. I'm going to figure out how to douse for myself. I'm going to figure this dowsing thing out. I've always had a pendulum. I just never... The potential on this sheet, if you read what you can do with this dowsing sheet, it's incredible. It's really incredible. So where I am in life, and then I'm going to read y'all's questions. I read a really interesting article, and I'm going to give credit to the people who wrote it. It was in Daily Ohm today. You can get this once a day. It's a wonderful little editorial. It's usually all of 3 paragraphs long. It has so much wisdom in it. And today it was talking about trees shedding their bark, and how that the only way trees can grow is to shed their bark. And it says, but unlike the tree, trees just do it. The sap runs, they start to dry out, the wood shrinks, the bark falls off, okay? That's how trees grow. If you grew up in a farming community, I guarantee you, and you grew up where I grew up, where winters were cold, and that is a question someone asked today about what's going to happen this winter. And when they finish that growth, then that's the next ring. That's how you can count out and see how old a tree is, by its rings. But one of the things I grew up in a farming community learning was, when it's going to be a bad winter, the bark gets really thick on the trees. And the other thing that it says, if it's going to be really bad winter, the pecan trees and the nut trees, or whatever kind of nut tree you have, goes nuts and makes more nuts than usual. Like you find a lot more in your yard than you expect. The trees here have already gotten very thick bark. And after last winter, in Texas, and our winters never get, I say they never get that bad. It froze down to the coast. That's like, in my lifetime here, that's new ice age. And yes, you can get, I have it on the link below, but it's Raymond Grace, Grace, like as in Amazing Grace. It's on his webpage. And if you go there, there's a section on dowsing, and you can find it there. Okay. Oh, good morning from New Zealand. Yay! You're in tomorrow. Is tomorrow better than today? Yeah, hello world, watch out, count the nuts, you'll see, it works. I mean, my mom grew up on a farm in Canada, and she could really tell the weather from me. And you'd see all the people who grew up on farms when I was younger sitting out there going, ooh, trees are doing this, and the plants are doing that. And then they'd see, plants come up earlier in the spring, and my mother going to be a hot summer. Plants already know, get their blooming done now. So, okay, now I'm going to go to what a lot of people have been sitting here with bated breath. I say that like it matters. Questions from the community page. Okay, someone asked about the package the packages wending their way through Congress. I'm not going to do that because it's really a political question. I have my own feelings about that. I think I know what's going on, but I'd have to tell tales from having been in the room where people make decisions about how to get somebody back in line. So what I'm going to talk about is the timing, and I can read time on the garden. I'm going to talk about the timing and of when this is going to come through. And we're in Mercury retrograde, and that don't go away till the 18th. So I'm not giving you much time before then. But anyway, I'm going to say, okay, universe, wipe my mind. Take these stones and tell us about the fate of the long-term fate of these two economic packages. And one wanted to fall out, and it didn't look like it really wanted to go there. Wow. Okay. It's going to finally come through. People are going to pass it. It's going to get past this fall. Boy, it's going to bring a lot of people into line. I mean, the Republicans are fighting this because if the Dems win this, then the Dems will potentially stay in power. And this stone says, do not become tied to false energies of the past. A lot of people are like, oh, they're obsessing on the two senators who shall not be named. Don't think about them. Think about the positive things. Think about the positive people in the Progressive Caucus who have pushed this to the point that this has a chance of being a reality. Then the next stone is, this is the winter, this is the spring, and in spring we're going to have the clarity of what's going on here, and it's great. It's going to flow through. It's just going to flow. By the time they get this set and the budgets get set and they start gearing up, it's going to be in the spring. We're really going to start to see it. We're going to start to feel it. I don't know why I think this, but I think March 22nd is going to be a very important day for all of us in the spring as far as that coming through. We have our bodies are in the crown chakra, which is when this stone falls here, all will become clear. And that's by summertime. And what we have is we have spirit. Our spirit, we are going to be in such good shape by next summer because spirit's in the future and the present. And that means, you'd think I'd know the sheet by heart right now. Idea planted at this time will flourish in clarity of all things. And it's riding in on air, and air is new sweet. All thoughts will become clear. This is like clear, 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 clear spirit. The spirit of our country will be coming back because we will be working as a unit, despite what the whack jobs want to do. And just have faith. Imagine just bathe Joe Biden in white light every chance you get. And if you're a Republican, and you're one of the people who I think is an extreme Republican, I'm not going to change my tune. My mother was Republican Woman of the Year in Illinois, and I'd say this to her if she was alive. And I say it to her now because she's dead, and she's hanging around going, okay. Oh, this is interesting. A person wrote me from Canada, and I've never tried to do a missing person on the thing, but he's been missing for 3 months, and he's a geologist. And his name is Daniel Robinson. So I want everybody to put out good thoughts for whatever energy Daniel Robinson is in. If he's already across, fine. If he's just sort of lost, fine. But I'm gonna read about it. I'm gonna try this. Then I'm gonna read some cards because I'm gonna try my talking from heaven and see if we can get a card from him for there. Okay, but we're gonna We're going to start with what's going on about the missing geologist in Canada. Whoa, okay. They're not going to find out what's really happened to him until next summer, till the spring, and it'll get clarified in the summer. They're going to find more information right now in the fall. They're getting serious about this. Why weren't they serious before? Well, I guess when people wander around. People are out there really, really looking for him. That's true. And physical changes are coming. And I don't predict death, but I don't see him. Clarity in water. Then the winter, nothing's going to kind of happen. I think he's been lost in a very cold place, well, it's Canada. But there are parts of Canada that aren't as cold. But I think he's been lost in a place where he could be covered up with snow. I think they're going to find more signs than... people are going to find out, and actually somebody kind of around him knows what's happened. They just aren't speaking yet, and they're not going to speak until they can feel safe, until they can feel their intuition, until they can speak clearly. And someone knows something when they find whatever circumstances they find him in. And hold for 1 second. This is extremely rude. I'm leaving my camera for 1 minute to go over and get. Okay. And I really think this guy's gone. It's kind of what I'm feeling. But if Daniel's out there, what message do you have for us, for your lady friend, the woman who wrote me about you in Canada? By the way, I didn't even look this up to see if it was real. It never occurred to me till just right now, anyone would ever send me something like that wasn't real. Okay, I think he's gone. He was met by so many loving people. Something happened to him. Someone didn't like him. All this will come to light. It's a murder mystery from Canada. I'll hand it back to Andrea. She does that much better than I do. And I'm sorry if you're related to this guy in any way, but they will figure out what happened to him. Okay, Tina wants to know about the energies that are flowing around us. And I'm going to talk about the energetics in this. I have an idea. Is he in Arizona? I thought he was Canadian. I don't know. Like I said, it came from a Canadian, and she said he was a Canadian geologist. So he may have been in Arizona. He'll go everywhere. Okay. Yeah, winter. Path forward is going to be seen this fall. This is winter, lining up right up in the winter. And on the 23rd of December, on the winter equinox, is it the equinox? No, it's the winter solstice. On the winter solstice, shortest day of the year. Oh, okay, he is missing in Arizona. Yeah, he was met by many loving people, and they're going to find pieces of him. Wherever he is relatively inaccessible right now. There's going to be a conjunction, and it's Saturn and Pluto. I don't know. But it also has something to do with the Pluto's moving towards being on top of the U.S.'s natal Pluto. And just like we have our body chart, the U.S. has a chart. So you can go check out some astrologers about that. But they're claiming the 23rd of December is going to be as important as the conjunction we had in 2020 on January 12th, which is the one that people think was a precursor to the pandemic. And there's a wonderful documentary called The Astrology of the Pandemic on Prime that explains all this, because I can't begin to carry all that stuff in my head. But it's really, really good. And this being lined up like it is in winter, this is the spirit, clarity, and our bodies. We're going to be changing. The clarity says between restate, past, and fire. This is all generational. It's all past life. and it's time for us to move forward, but our minds are opening up, so we're going to be able to take this in. But that's the freight train of energy that everybody feels they're on. Is that. And I've never had all three of them line up in a row like that before. That's kind of interesting. Okay. I had a request about rents. If I see any point that rents are going down, so I'm going to ask the garden, what is going on about rents? Will something come through to help rents become more affordable? Oh, and everything rolled off the board. Spirit rolled off the board. Yeah, nothing's in the works right now, guys. What we got is our mind is kind of locked up in the middle of this. The clarifications we're getting are false. This, I think, is the most important aspect on this board, other than values and spirit rolling off the board. And in this case, they flat rolled off the board, guys. There's no bringing them back in. We're going to have to scream about it to get them to make movements that people are going to have to get very upset about seeing their fellow Americans thrown out in the streets. It's going to take real physical action to get changes on this. Although I think there's some stuff in some of these bills that's supposed to help. My mailman's doing something weird at my door. Oh, that's good. This one says there will be a resolution. Final situations are coming. And this is in the fall. So this may be something that comes out of the legislative package that they're working on right now that helps with that. Help is on the way. Doesn't help you today if you can't pay your rent. I know in Dallas, last week they announced rents went up across the board 15% when your lease is up. You're getting a 15% raise. I know where I used to live, it's in a suburb, and it went up. The unit that we lived in went up $700 a month, which my daughter and I were living in. And $700 a month seems a lot for what we were living in at the time. Okay, this leads us to another thing. Will we have the power grid, and will we have the ability to... Oh, it's Uranus and Saturn. Okay, thank you, old painter. Saturn and Uranus, okay. I'm going to be looking at Andrea's question about, is our power grid... Okay, guys, you can leave Texas out of this. Andrea's not in Texas, I know. But are we capable of handling our power grid this winter? Yeah, they've done some improvements in other parts of the country. The thing is, freezing people doesn't get them to pay their bills better. This shows that in the present there are people who really are working on this to make sure that we don't go through the same kind of winter we had before. And it's just really beginning to become important to people to understand they need to do that. They try some BS ideas, but it doesn't work. And they're trying to mislead us, but there's a movement coming out of the earth. People understand, no, you're not BSing me that one more time like that. And in the path forward, we got look carefully for omens. Look carefully at your power bills. Look carefully at all your stuff. Do everything you can to help lower energy usage so that we have enough for everybody. But our bodies are in water and true. Yeah, this says that if everybody grounds and uses what they need to use and takes precautions, we can get through this. It doesn't say it's going to be terrible, but it doesn't say that they've done massive improvements either. But I think some places in the country, they're more ready for it than we are here. Okay. Let me see. Okay, Hello wanted to know if she had a message from her spirit. And I don't know if I missed other people's. Yeah. Don't talk to me about Uranus. Uranus is sitting on top of my natal sun right now, and it will be till the end of the year. I don't like any of this Saturn Uranus. Well, I don't dislike it. It's pushed me forward, but it's been uncomfortable. Okay. Hello. We're going to see if your spirit has a message for you. Yes, it does. That you are very in tune with your own energies, and you need they are your path forward, and your heart is how you clarify things. You don't trust your own heart enough. Your spirits are telling you, we're telling you all the right ideas, and you're just not following right now. And yes, your spirits can make things very clear to you, but your path forward, which is going to be the most important part of this reading for you, is that you have more abundance coming and it's about to be created, but you have to listen to your mind and watch for the signs. They can hand you all the things they want, but if you don't grab on and row and don't pick up on the signs, you're not going anywhere. And your body is... Okay. Hello, I don't know, are you an empath? Because what I'm getting from this is you're an empath and you need to listen to your own body. So, you need to listen to your own body. When it tells you, when your heart tells you it's true, go for it. When your heart says it's false, don't. It's that simple. And I mean, but it's that complicated to do because your spirit really knows what's going on. You just don't listen. And Sam wants to know about messages from his crystals. I don't know how many you have. I'm going to see if, let's see, if there's a message in the collective of the crystals for Sam. Oh! Sam, you're going to have a great winter. You're investing right now in something in the fall that's not going to turn out so well, I think. You're in a dilemma and you just can't figure it out. It's not well defined. Your body really, really wants to move forward, but your moving forward is going to come in the winter, and it comes by understanding and valuing what you've learned in the past. But then this is going to be sort of a clean out your closet, straighten out your life period for you, because you got clarity in the mind in restate. Now, restate is a funny place on the board, and what it means, it doesn't mean kind of what you might think of when you first hear the words restate. What restate means, when it's in the garden, when I had the vision on it, you're in a place or there's like, it's overgrown. It's just overgrown and everything's there. But everything's there you need. You need to go through and high, Ryan, unconditional love. You need to go through and sort out the path for you to. So when you pick up a plant, the way I would look at it is, if you're weeding a garden and you realize this is a weed, get rid of the weeds. This is a good herb I can use in the future, leave it in. And you're doing that spiritually. And you need to just take a little time and listen to your dreams, and listen to what you're saying, and your crystals will lead you. I think your crystals are what you need to go through. Touch them, see which ones speak to you, whatever, and then go get a good book on crystal definitions or Google them. There's a lot of good stuff on Google. Crystal Vaults has a really good library you can get online. And if you Google a stone, it will tell you kind of what the action around that stone is, and try to and try to work with it that way. That's how I would work with it. Since your thing's about your crystals, they can lead you to the change you need. Air, body, and air means change. Air means water means flowing out, but in an emotional way. Air means flowing out, but in a thoughtful way. Okay. And this is great. I've never had so many stones all line up straight in my life. But I haven't only been doing this since February, as we all know. That's as long as I've had it. Okay, Susan A. wants to know what is her path forward. So we're going to do sort of a general right now. What's the energy? What way should she be moving her energy? Oh. Well, you need to be working on your intuition and your spirit, because you got the spirit in the third eye chakra, and clarity of thoughts is part of your plan. And then you've got so much stuff emerging. You can't see it. How bad of me. Okay, this is your third eye. This is the stones in your earth, And earth is when things are growing up and coming up, and then they arch over, and the water is the emotions to take them away. But this is a growing part. And in earth, you got a trifecta, girl. You got physical changes are coming towards you. Final thoughts for the situation are also coming towards you. And you have many, many paths ahead of you. You have to go ahead and pick the correct one. How are you going to pick the correct one? Then we go into the south and see what your grounding is. You're a verbal person, I think, Susan. I don't know for sure, but what I'm picking up. And your path forward is through you get mental impressions. Follow those mental impressions, because you've got so much stuff emerging and coming forward, and your spirit and your subconscious is really tied into it. You need to learn from the things that you've learned in the past. Oh yeah, talking about where I've been, and I did leave. I have below in my descriptions. Last night, Kim from Intuitiview did a night of healing. I'll answer your question in a second, Sleuth Jill. And it was about healing the racial divide and trying to figure out a way to make us heal those divides. And it came out of a thing she did where she accidentally ended up sitting in front of her light and seeing all of her orbs come through and coming through. And so we all agreed to come to a prayer, to open our hearts up, to say a prayer, and to ask for Shining Hawk was there, and she accepted the prayer for the minority community, although Linda G was there, and she's a Comanche, and it wasn't just for African Americans. It's if they can pass that law, that George Floyd law, it's like the Miranda decision, which covered one guy's case where the police didn't tell him the truth, and went to the Supreme Court, and then now you and I benefit from the Miranda. They have to tell us when they're talking to us, and it's not just talking to us, it's gathering information. So if you haven't seen it, I put a link below, and you can see it was an interesting group of readers, and I'm hoping to have a few more of them. I hope I have Shining Hawk on. I'm hoping to have Gary Champion on, who I find a very interesting man. So Sleuth wanted to know, and I have to go back up to your question. Okay, if you want just a general message for Sleuth, general vibration around Sleuth, where should she be moving? Oh, okay, you've got a lot of stuff way out of the center, which means you're not into the basics. You've got your bodies in your heart, and that's physical form is tied to the freedom of your heart. You have to be free, and you have to also listen to your solar plexus. When you come up with an idea, you got to make it work and run. You're working on something right now because your mind is in solar plexus, and that means you're power through connecting with your mental forces, but you're in the process of weeding that out. I didn't do it again. You're in the process of weeding that out. So that's really important. This has something to do, this is past life. You're tying into some energy you've remembered from before, and you're like, how the hell do I know this? But you know it because your spirit is in true, and your clarity is in the tree of life. And your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. Boy, did you get a strong reading, girl. And your spirit is in true, which is your ideas are correct. What I'd tell you is you don't need to do too much more weeding. You can go right into the solar plexus and make this sucker go. You've tied into some past life knowledge, and that's what's moving you forward. So accept that. And then Rhonda is going through a bit of a hard time. She wants to know what's the path forward in this hard time. Hi, Sharon, for showing up and being a dragon slayer. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do Rhonda first, and then I'll look at... If you guys would type your questions in capitals, it makes it much easier for me to read. Because everybody else is saying hi to each other and being friendly, and I enjoy that. But if I want to answer a question. Rhonda's going through hard times. Let's see if we can get some timing on Rhonda's hard times. Oops. Your spirit's out of this game. You're into totally practical matters. This fall is going to be really important. Some new things are going to emerge for you. You've started something this summer, and it's moving into the fall. I think you're going to get a clear answer. When part of it is you got to speak up for yourself, which I know can be hard when things are tough. But when you tie into this, your ideas are going to flow freely. By this winter, you're going to be clearly into this. You're going to be into a job where you can really make a difference, and you can use a lot of the skills you haven't been able to use. You've got a path opening up for yourself. So be aware of that. Don't get lost in the negative. Open your mind up and say to your guides, open this path up and let me know. Okay, Carolyn, I'm going to read about your new job. I'm not going to spy on your manager. I have a rule. I don't read on anyone that I don't have permission on. And since you've gotten out of there, if it was like you and him still fighting, I could say, how's this going to end for her? But instead, I'm going to look at your new job. I won't spy on your manager. And that's just an ethical thing. I believe that we should never spy on someone who hasn't agreed to come be part. And trust me, I have a friend who would like me to show her manager being hung off a bridge on Central Expressway. But it's, I'm not going to go there. Okay, so what's going to happen for Carolyn in her new job? Oh, it's giving you a chance to really express yourself. You're really working on what you want to work with. Having that difficult manager was just a path to get you to where you need to be. You and he had a past life connection. I don't know what it is, but I know that it's separated now because you're moving into new elements. You need to let it go, girl. Let him go be him and live with the consequences of it. And trust me, I have a feeling there's some consequences to that. And at this time, you need to just be moving on. This is your body. This is your embodiment of who you are. You just need to be moving on, letting them all go. The path forward is set for you. You're in a place where you're allowed to express yourself and do what you need to do. I'm sorry he dragged you through that, but you probably needed to move on long before he did that. You just didn't get the hint. The universe has a way of making sure we get the hint. Okay, let's see. Tina MC. Guides have a message. Okay. You need to be restating and rechecking your values right now, but otherwise, you're working through some real basic stuff. And your spirit is ready to fly, and your mind is aware of where you are. Your guides are right there with you. They're bringing you clarity. They're planting clarity in front of you. They're actually saying to you, you have many paths ahead of you, and they're there to help you make it through, to physically help you make it through. Your spirit's in air, and that's a wonderful place, because that means that's just be making sure your thoughts are clear as you make a move. Make sure that you're absolutely in the mark with that. And that's a great reading. I mean, that's good. Marge, any messages from guides or spirit? Oh, you got very different. Everybody's in a restate kind of way. And that's happening right now because of the changes we're going through. But your body... and this can be your physical being, or it can be the energy you carry with you. Your body is in, your energy is being freed up to become more creative, but you're still tied to things from the past that stop you from doing what you need to do. You go back to some past, look at previous forms that served you well. You're learning how to do something that's wonderfully creative. You're rethinking it all. You've got your mind and your solar plexus clearly there. And that's power through connecting with your mental forces. Your spirit's really emerging in whatever you're doing. I feel like That's really important for you. And then clarity is in air, and that means it's just flowing. It's just flowing. You know what you need to do. You're going to have a couple choices and different paths, but you know what you need to do. So, yeah, if you feel like you're on a good point, you are. Okay, and thank you, Sam. Okay. I think this name is Cirsa, but it could be, Karika? I can't imagine this. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name right. But your last name is South, and I know how to say that. I mean, the last name you have on here. She wants to know, message from her guide. Yeah, your guides are really telling you spiritually to go for it. And for some reason, and you can see the profit of doing that, but you've just decided, and you have really put your life together. Your clarity is in all four of the major elements, and your mind is in air and water. I mean, your guides are telling you if you've got a message to be moving and doing something wonderful and new and creative, go for it, because you got go for it, and go for it. When spirit is in go for it, which sounds like a funny space, but it's really not. Move now on your intuitions. Listen to your mind. And so listen to your guides. You can do past life readings using the garden, but I haven't built it yet. We're not finished designing it yet. But sometime in the next year, this will exist. It's the Oracle Garden Past Life. And you'll be able to see a lot more detail. But you can use the past life in here. And the areas that involve past life are fire, which is south, which is older elements and past things in this life and also past life. You can do a past life reading, but I prefer to use the spirit cards because they're cleaner and I'm not used to it yet. Okay, Jack had a bad September. Let's see what's going to happen in Jack's October. It's only bad because it's pushed you to look at things, so you've made some major decisions about your own heart and how to protect it. It's clear you've got clarity about what's been going on around you in the past. Your body is ready to move forward. You have spirit. You got 3 chakra stones, and that doesn't happen all that often. And if you roll on this thing, you'll figure out, eventually that, yeah. And I didn't build it I was told to make it that way. But you're energizing yourself to understand how to make yourself more secure. The fact that your mind is aligned with your new creativity, it's making you feel increasingly uncomfortable. All's going to become clear to you. October is going to be a great month for you because that's what I rolled. Your body is ground your thoughts. Make sure you're dealing with your real thoughts. But this is the one I see for you that's most important, and it's use the ideas from your past to carry you forward into the new situation. This is not a time for you to take every thought and throw the baby out with the bathwater. You need to be patient with yourself, and because you've got some great stuff coming. Your October is going to be wonderful. Okay. Okay, let's see. What should you focus on to raise your joy levels? I thought job levels. Okay. We're going to do a one and done. What does she need to raise her joy levels? Oh, speak your truth. That's your path forward. Have your spirit speak the truth. That's what you're doing now. Now I think you edit yourself. And spirit shines through expression. And path forward is balance your energy and move ahead. You're ready to move forward. To find your own joy, you just need to speak your own truth. I know that's not always easy, but trust me, from years of having sat there and shut up, I can tell you it's much better if you open up your mind. A rest of the year question for Annie M. Ooh, yep, big changes coming, girl. Your path forward is through abundance and through, you're in the same boat she's in. Speak your own truth. Boost self-esteem through allowing your own experiences to be validated. You've got clarity is coming out of water and air. And you have all the clarity you need. Follow one of the paths that is forward with you. Put emphasis on that. And and you know when your thoughts are really clear. When your thoughts are really clear, nothing can stop you. So go with that. And your mind is between water and fire. And oh, you need to let go of limitations, and you stay tied to things from your past. So that's the truth you need to speak over here. Your path forward is by letting go of your past and allowing your clear thoughts to come through. But your heart having both of those two, your physical body, that's the freedom of your heart, and wisdom comes through the clarity of your own emotions. That's what's going to make your the rest of this year. That's what's coming up for you the rest of this year. So go for it. Okay, I think I already. Okay. I already answered. Jack, are you the same person? Did you type the same question in twice? Because I just answered that exact same question. Oh yeah, everybody go thumbs up my things so they get spread around. One last week when it was Where Have I Been? Man, I had a whole bunch of people do thumbs up, and I ended up having almost 800 people view the thing. So, oh, Ronnie, you're starting a new job. Well, Ronnie's been here for a long time, so we'll see about the new job. Okay. And then I'm going to have to break, guys, because I'm getting tired. And I am a little old lady, even though I don't look like it. Lots happening this fall with this job. By winter, you're going to be settled in it happily. You are really getting a lot of clarity about this out of this job. Mental actions, it's your mental abilities that you bring into this that are going to be the path to abundance here. But you've got your mind is in a really interesting place. You have a lot of intuition and insight in this place, and your heart's opened up, and you can feel an expression. And you also kind of little bitty bit in the present, which is saying that signs and clues are present now. You know exactly how you're going to do in this new job. I think you're loving it. You've got your body between the path forward and throat. So the body and throat means expressions comes through being truthful with your body, and the throat is expressions of truth for you. And your spirits, this is a job that you were kind of made for, or you've built up the skills for. You're going to do great. You're going to love it the day you walk in the door. Don't let your insecurities bite your butt. I don't even see them on here, so don't let them do it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read on Franny, and then I'm going to look see what's beyond her, but I think she's the last one I'm going to read. I'm going to read on Franny and Judy D, and then I'm done, okay? Franny Smith. Okay. I'm going to see the whole situation around your eyesight. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. It says right now your body's going through a period of reassessment. And it's got restate, past, and fire. I think you... Okay. Restate. I don't think all your options are clear to you right now. I'm not gonna try to feed false hope, but there's no spiritual reason for you losing your eyesight. You've got a physical problem that if you get a real good physical doctor, they can help you with. I'm going to do a one throw after I do this reading to see if what I'm feeling is true. Truth, mind, path forward. Yeah, I think if you watch for changes, you can find, you maybe need to do a little bit of doctor shopping to find someone who can really help you. But your spirit is enlightened, and your guides will help you have the courage to get through it. Whatever the decisions finally are, I wish I could say I could give you something, but your spirit transforms your thinking. So I think the attitude you go in with this is going to have a whole lot to do with the decline in your vision or the improvement in your vision, but you need to go find someone to talk to about it. And I'm going to do, who am I going to get? I'm going to throw a value stone in. You got this stone exactly where you had the body stone, and it was find a new doctor, and this was restate past and think it through. So I think you need to find another doctor, because you had this stone there, and when I tossed this time, you got that stone there. So, and Judy D. Okay. How do I connect with my guardian angels? Okay. I'm going to ask about the situation around your angels. They may be beating you on the head. You just may not want to listen. Let's see. Oh. You've got True and Tree of Life. This is great for your mind. Positive thoughts will help you manifest them. And they're there with you already. They're wondering why you're not opening up to their radiant guidance. It says open up to radiant guidance. That's what that stone means right there. I think you've been in a spiritual path. I think part of it is that your spiritual path is just emerging, and so you haven't been in certain parts of it very long. Sophina, one of your angels is named Sophina. Is that true? Because Sophina's telling me they have to really work with you, because in the past, in a past life, you were chastised for working with angels, and they're there with you. Sophina's there with you. She's trying to talk to you right now, girl. You need to connect. You're connected to them. Your problem is you have a past life memory, and you may just ask yourself to have a lucid dream about it, and then you'll see what the past life problem was, and you can let it go. That's what I'd do. That's what I'd tell you to do. Okay. Mei Yang. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to throw stones on this. I'd like to know when I'm going to meet Mr. Right. Oh, God. Okay. I'm not going to read any more things on the grid anyway, on the garden. My theory on Mr. Right is when your energy is clear within yourself, your frequency will be okay, and then you can pull in a good person. And one of the things we talked about, if you weren't here earlier, is we're going to be doing some work with dowsing. And if you go in my description of this show, you'll find a place to get a dowsing grid, a little thing. It's a free download PDF. You can make anything into a pendulum. You can use, when I was in college, we used to use pencils with a pin stuck in the eraser and a string to put over people's wrists to see how many kids they were going to have. Pretty accurate. Everybody kept telling me 3, and I never thought I'd make it to 3. Yeah, Tammy, yeah, use it, pendulum. Somebody's using a pendulum right now. But what you can do, May, is see how clear your energy is. And you can ask the pendulum, is the time now right for me to be looking at this? When I teach my class in how to read the garden, one person said, what are the 25 questions you get the most? And one of the things that it's a poem I used to teach my tarot readers, but it also works for the garden. And the questions always come down to this: will I be poor? Will I be rich? Should I get rid of the son of a bitch? And really, that's the core of what most people ask. But about finding Mr. Right, the correct person, it's a matter of timing, and that timing depends on the frequency in you. I was always on celibacy strikes. I was never going to date again. And that's when I met my first husband. And then I had 2 little kids. I was working a full-time corporate job. I just had no time for anybody. And that's when I met my second husband. I mean, and he was my next door neighbor. He's 20 years older than me. I thought, oh, it's safe to hang out with him. I'll never fall in love with him. Happy Monday to everybody. Remember, tomorrow I'm going to have, Fanny, keep seeing your doctor. Keep communicating with them. There's so much. I had a brother who went blind in one eye, and he managed to continue on and have a really full and productive life. He was a surgeon. He had to quit doing surgery because you can't do surgery with only one eye. But he found another way to live his life, and he made millions of dollars doing it. I mean, he made money he never would have made if he'd stayed where it was. So, and I know with you it's not a money-making thing, but go, if the second, ask your guides to go in with you when you go and sit with the doctor, and remind them to nudge your body, or however you hear from your guides, whether it's words, whether it's nudges, whether it's you think about it later and go, that just didn't seem right. I've switched doctors because I thought it wasn't right, and I finally found a doctor who ended up, I didn't know it, I picked her blind out of the phone book, but she was a keto doctor, and I was in keto, and she'd been being a keto coach for like 15 years, and her whole practice is nothing but geriatrics who control metabolic disorders through diet, and it was absolutely wonderful. Thank you all for coming for another wonderful day in the garden. I'm going to go to the bottom to see if there's anything dire that I really need. And also, I put a link to Joyce All-Knowing Tarot. I don't know if I told you about that, but I was on her show yesterday. She had kind of a, well, she says it in the thing, so I'll tell you. She's had an epiphany. She's not doing politics anymore. And she was talking to somebody, and they said, oh, well, you need to go talk to Nancy Jean. She'd never seen my channel, didn't know anything about me. She wrote me a note. I wrote back to her. We had a long conversation. And I was on her show yesterday talking about moving on to the next dimension, moving on to 4 and 5D, and how we're all on that same crazy ride, and it's not slowing down. When Danny and I talked about the seasons, it's not slowing down. So I don't want to slow down, but right now I'm going to slow down and take the rest of the afternoon off. I have some research I need to do for my shows coming up. Thank you all for being here. Like, subscribe, because I saw some people mention they'd come over from Joyce. Subscribe, and I really appreciate everyone being here. Once again, I'll be up tomorrow at 1 sharp. If everything goes well, I have to deliver 2 grids in the morning. But thank you, Judy D. Thank you, all the people, and have